Welcome to EUPrivacyForAll, Session 60 on GDPR Penalties, Article 79b. EU Council was the first triggering the drafting of a separate Article 79b, in which most of the provisions were finally retained. In the final draft of GDPR, it is stressed that Member States shall lay down the rules on penalties applicable to infringements of this regulation, in particular for infringements which are not subject to administrative fines, that is to say, to Article 79. Such penalties shall be effective, proportionate, and dissuasive. Additionally, each Member State will have the obligation to notify the Commission with those provisions adopted in the frame of definition of penalties. Recital 118b is also to be mentioned. Penalties, as much as administrative fines, shall be imposed for any infringement of this regulation, in addition to or instead of appropriate measures imposed by the supervisory authority. The imposition of penalties should also be subject to adequate procedural safeguards, including effective judicial protection and due process. In Recital 120a, it is laid down that where this regulation does not harmonize administrative penalties, Member States should implement a system which provides for effective, proportionate, and dissuasive penalties. Moreover, the nature of such penalties, that is to say criminal or administrative, should be determined by national law. Currently, Article 24 of the Directive provides that each Member State shall adopt suitable measures to ensure the full implementation of the provision of the Directive, and in particular lay down the sanctions to be imposed in case of infringement. What should accountable data controllers and processors get prepared for? First, knowing that penalties will be framed at a national level by Member States. For infringements which are not subject to administrative fines, Member States will define such penalties in order for those to be effective, proportionate, and dissuasive. The nature of such penalties, administrative or criminal, will also be defined at a national level. EU Commission will be notified of the set of laws and amendments with regards to penalties. And finally, the imposition of penalties will be subject to adequate procedural safeguards, including effective judicial protection and due process. The questions remaining for us now is knowing about the set of penalties determined at national level being consistent and setting in EU a level playing field with regards to sanctions.